Central Florida and in large much of the eastern United States to their entirety continue to feel the overall wrath of this summer heat wave that is scorching many of us from here in Central Florida all the way up to the likes of New York, Pennsylvania, the Great Lakes, and anywhere in between on the eastern half of the country. There's a little bit of good news I want to pass on to you today, but it comes with a bit of a catch, a bit of a twist. So rock with me. We have some pretty large amounts of warnings and advisories across our area. Excessive heat warnings have now expanded through much of our viewing area. You could see the only county still outside of the heat warnings, but still roasting alongside us with a heat advisory is Brevard County. And then notice in the right hand corner there, National Weather Service advises there will be little overnight relief. And by that, what they're saying is the incoming solar radiation, as it's called, the heat from the sun throughout the day, especially since we don't have as much cloud cover, as much moisture to get some overall increasing in our showers and thunderstorms throughout the afternoon. They're still there. Don't get me wrong. You could see some rain, some thunder, and lightning in your area as we go over the next couple days, but it's not as widespread. So we're not seeing all this heating of the day dispersed as rapidly throughout the overnight hours as typical, and it doesn't help that big ball of stubborn high pressure continues to stay overhead. So we got to take this somewhat serious, folks. Stay safe, stay hydrated, and double check your cars out there. Now, we're going to take a quick glance at the temperatures outside. If you look, we are cooking on the Space Coast right now. Titusville coming in at 99, Cocoa Beach 95 upon the time of shooting this video, Daytona Beach and Palm Coast at 97. So you're not even finding much relief if you get out to the beach. And those waters aren't exactly cool either, to tell you the truth. We'll talk about that here in a second. The Villages, according to our observed values right now, has officially hit the triple digits. The Villages coming in at an even 100. Leesburg 97, Citrus Ridge 97, Orlando, Kissimmee, Lake Wales, Bartow at 97. Sanford in hot pursuit of the Villages at 99. Apopka actually doing fairly good right now. I wonder if they've got some thunderstorms firing in that area. You can see a huge little bit of a temperature gradient between the Villages, Sanford, and Apopka at 84. That's kind of neat. But now let's take a look at the heat index, the feels like temperature. This is kind of a culmination of air temperature, moisture in the air, putting it all together for what we feel, what everybody feels down at ground level. Pardon my voice, by the way. I just came back from traveling, been out and about with the military, with other work agendas, and my voice, I'm struggling to kind of kick a cold bug. But anyways, you look at the heat index here, and this is also off the chain. Gainesville, 115, Ocala, 115, Greater Orlando metropolitan area, 110 degrees. Everywhere across the board, we are going to feel these, I want to say, astronomical heat indexes. These are dangerous, regardless of your age, your shape, whatever you want to throw on the table. We got to take care of ourselves as we go through the rest of this week. And like I said, the rest of the week, it's going to stay hot. Look at this bowling ball area of high pressure ridging, just smothering the central and eastern half of the United States. That is what's literally cranking the thermostat for all of us. If you were to take a look at a national graphic of the heat index values from not only Florida all the way up the United States East Coast and further inland, you're going to see triple digit values almost everywhere you try to look, no matter how far to the north you get. As we go through time, though, it is expected to break down with the introduction of our next surface front slash upper trough combo. We've been seeing a lot of this as we've gone through May, June, and now much of July. That comes with that kicker. So notice here, if you look at the graphic, we've taken that high pressure ridge and bullied it back off our east coast. It's not going to drop our temperatures too substantially, but an increase in our showers and storms should help to alleviate the blaze, if you will, throughout the afternoon and especially the evening hours, despite the lack of a cooling effect, a dispersion of the heat throughout the overnight hours. Here's a quick glance. I didn't want to kind of hold you in suspense. You take a look at the heat index for today and look at that all the way up to Pittsburgh, New York, Boston at 96, Milwaukee at 90, St. Louis, Missouri at 108. Everybody from the central to the eastern United States, even up there in Portland, Maine, 91 degree feels like temperature. So everybody's getting in on this roasting, this barbecue that's going on for the summer post 4th of July. Now, let's get into that twist. So, as that ridge breaks down, we got to take a look at the tropics. The yellow shades show where we've come from, and what isn't shaded shows where we're going. And we are about to start that upward ascent towards the peak of the season. I've been talking to some of the subject matter experts, including our own weather team here at News 6, and we all tend to agree the Atlantic is definitely going to improve in terms of whether or not conditions will be ripe for tropical activity. We've got a couple signals out there I'm going to be watching very closely here in the Digital Weather Center, both here and on air as we go through the month of August. You can see the first one rocks in through the Bahamas towards the southeast. That already has my attention. And then that second one out there, deeper into the Atlantic. I'll go ahead and kind of leave it here full screen so you can see off the west coast of Africa and the deep tropics. That's the one that I do think is going to have the path paved for it for a better environment for this thing to try to do a little something more than just sling some tropical showers and storms across the Atlantic as it makes its westward trek. So stick with us. I know this is a bit of a long-winded spiel. I'm back after being with the Navy once again, doing some weather training with them, and you can guarantee we're going to be tracking the tropics here alongside you all day to day here at News 6.